Alright guys, we're going to be talking about one of the most anticipated Super Bowls in recent memory. This one's going to be a fun game. I think obviously it's going to be a fun game, but it's interesting for a lot of reasons when you look at these two teams, two very different teams, two teams that have overcome a lot in recent memory. Obviously you got Matt Ryan on one side who overcame. Is he elite? Is he not? A lot of criticism in the media. I mean, the man, I've always loved Matt Ryan. I don't think he... for me, I mean, he's had his down years for sure, but he's also had some pretty bad teams. And, obviously his early struggles in the playoffs, when he had elite offenses then, I mean, he had Roddy White, he had Julio Jones. So he's also, I mean, he's been to an NFC Championship game before. Obviously he reached the Super Bowl, obviously lost, I think, to 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's been in big games before in his career, but like I said, both teams has overcome, I guess you could say, obstacles. I mean, more so with the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like I said, Matt Ryan really being looked at as that. Is he elite? Is he not? I would even say it's worse when Joe Flacco made it to the Super Bowl and it was like, oh, he had one of the greatest runs any quarterback ever had in a playoff history. I think it's even worse than that. I think Matt Ryan was literally looked down upon. I mean, you had Tony Gonzalez come out and say that he's not elite. I mean, that's pretty. If a Hall of Famer says that, and your teammate that's been your teammate for quite a while, you're in training camp with him, and he says that. I mean, that's pretty tough stuff to take. And for him to overcome that and reach the Super Bowl has to be a big deal for him. Has to be. And then obviously you got the Atlanta Falcons as a team where everybody kind of doubted them throughout the season. A lot of people like Eric Davis pointed out that they are a little bit more grown up. They're a little bit more of a physical team, physically tough team, mentally tough team. And what they have been able to build, and even in one draft with Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, is very impressive. If you look at that defense with Vic Beasley, I mean, so many guys that they have been able to bring in a very short amount of time through the draft, by the way, which is pretty impressive. And obviously, I think what I mean to say is that I think a lot of people gave them enough credit. I think even in the Seahawks game, not a lot of people thought they were winning that game. Obviously, the Seahawks have a pedigree. And I know I understand nationally people would think, oh, the Seahawks are going to win. Even in the Packers game, I think a lot of people thought Aaron Rodgers would catch fire against not an all-around great Falcons defense. Then they proved them wrong again, even in the Georgia Dome, for God's sakes. So they've had to overcome a lot of doubt. So I don't think this particular game, obviously it's bigger magnitude because it is the Super Bowl, but they've already been in this situation multiple times throughout the season. So I don't think that's going to affect them. But as for the New England Patriots, they don't have to. I mean, they didn't really overcome a lot. A lot of people put into the suspension Tom Brady revenge thing. A lot of people put that they put a lot in that. I don't think that has any effect on this game at all. I don't think it does. I mean, I think the Patriots sort of kind of had, and I say this, I'm not saying the fans did. I know the fans hated it. He did get suspended over stupid reasons. It was very stupid. Obviously, people coming out and say, yeah, quarterbacks saying I used to do it all the time that are Hall of Famers, for God's sakes. It was very stupid, and I'm not saying it's not, but I don't think it's nowhere near what the Atlanta Falcons have had to overcome. So when you have that for the Atlanta Falcons, and a lot of people are putting a lot into that, I don't think the moment is too big for them. Like I said, I think if the moment was too big, I mean, they've had a lot of places where they could have not proved a lot of people wrong. They've been proving people wrong all season, is my point. Anyway, and like I said, I don't put a lot of that stuff. Brady's on revenge. I don't think that's a thing. Really much. I don't. If it was in the regular season. I don't think it has any impact on this game whatsoever. So in talking about that, let's talk football, real football, instead of just hypothetical crap and feeling stuff. Let's talk about real football. So when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, obviously we talked a little bit about it, but their defense is more full of playmakers than it is a whole defense. What I mean by that is you look at something like the Denver Broncos. They have a great secondary. Now their front seven did struggle to stop the run this past year. Let's take obviously 2 seasons ago, that Denver Broncos team. That is a whole defense. That is an example of a perfect all-around defense where you have a great front seven, you have a great back end. That is what I'm talking about when I say an all-around defense. Now, when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, what I see is a playmaking defense with just a bunch of young, fast talent on it. You have Vic Beasley, you have Deion Jones, you have Keanu Neal. And both of those guys, by the way, not Vic Beasley, but both of Keanu Neal and Deion Jones, made a huge impact in the rookie seasons. It's very like seriously, just as much, in my opinion, just as much as Zeke and Dak have had. Now, obviously, it's probably not as great as those players, but they have had a very big impact on that football team. And Keanu Neal is the tone setter. He's as a rookie, for God's sakes, he's the hard hitting safety. Like I said, he's the tone setter. You hear that pop, and the Falcons already they're all juiced up, and he's your tone setter. All our teams have that on there. You know what I mean? I don't have to explain myself when I say that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So what they've been able to accomplish, especially getting somebody like that out of a rookie, is pretty impressive. And obviously Deion Jones has been an outstanding inside linebacker all season long. And like I said, back to my original point, when you look at the Denver defense of old against the Carolina Panthers, that is a defense. Now, that is one of the best defenses we've ever seen. I'm not saying that you have to be that good to be a whole defense, but they are not that. They are not the perfect whole defense. They, excuse me. Now, they have gotten better in the playoffs, that's for sure. Now, a lot of people put a lot of into the fact that they beat the Packers as bad as they beat them. But the Packers were hurt. I'm not saying anything, if you're a Falcons fan, that doesn't take away from what you guys accomplished at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that your defense is not a whole defense, but it is filled with playmakers. Players that can change a game. Like I said, you got your tone setter in Keanu Neal. You got a playmaker in Vic Beasley who can wreck a game in the fourth quarter. They have those pieces. They have Dwight Freeney in the role of kind of like a DeMarcus Ware, who's a opportunistic pass rusher. Doesn't get a lot of snaps, obviously, but he is still very, very effective in what he does with that deadly spin move. So they have the playmakers there, and they can. I mean, I think defensively they have it. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Now, let's look at the New England Patriots defense. Now, what New England has been able to do in a season where there has been so many moving parts while the season is going on, by the way, obviously Jamie Collins, very controversial trade to Cleveland. Then you have, first of all, I don't know why this hasn't been talked about enough, but then you get a up-and-coming corner who's going to be very good in the future, and Eric Rowe from Philly. Just stole him. Then you get Van Noy from Detroit, for God's sakes. Now, I didn't see him being as good as he's been, but he has been a very impactful player on that defense. Just added speed and playmaking ability on that defense. In one season, they got rid of one of the better linebackers in the NFL, and then they completely, they can plug and play anybody. That's what's so cool. I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm a diehard Dolphins fan, and what I'm about to say is crazy, but that is cool. Like, if you seriously think about that for a second, I mean, what level do you have to be at to do that? You know what I mean? Bill Belichick is just something crazy. He's something else. But just to do that to a defense and completely change your defense. Completely change it. Now, I'm not saying it was like... That's pretty impressive, though, losing one of your best players. And being able to replace that player... and not replace him in terms of positional. I'm just saying... to see how I could find a good word for this, but replace the impact of that great player. I mean, it's pretty impressive, man. I don't know, say other. It's insanely impressive what they have been able to do. Like, those are two steals. Like, look back on those trades. Those are steals for the New England Patriots. Now, this defense is very, very. This is an all-around defense, I would say. I don't know. I don't know if I would say it's an all-around defense, because I do feel like that front seven, especially going against the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, can be... Now, Branch, don't get me wrong, is very hard to move. So I guess you could say they are an all-around defense. When you look at the back end, you've got people like Logan Ryan, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL, who's been terrorizing my team for a long time. You got obviously Malcolm Butler, who's a very good man-to-man coverage guy, a very smart corner. And then you got on the back end and safety, you got Patrick Chung, who's he's a very good cover safety, one of the best in the NFL. And then you have the same thing in Devin McCourty, who's had corner experience, for God's sakes. This is a very good, very talented New England Patriots defense, and it's going to be very hard. I mean, see, a lot of people bring up the game when New England played the Rams, and they were very heavily. Not a lot of people thought they were going to win that game. It's very obviously if you're a hardcore fan, you know that. But they physically beat the This is what the Seahawks did, by the way. And a lot of people bring that up. Oh, can they do that in modern day rules? Well, the Seahawks did it. They just did it so much throughout the season, even in the regular season, where it just became like it became the norm. It became like, well, they do it so much. How many flags is a ref gonna actually throw on the same thing every play? And it worked. I mean, you wouldn't think it would work, but it worked. And I don't know if the Patriots can do that against the Atlanta Falcons, because you do have big physical receivers like Julio Jones. And they got Mohamed Sanu, who's another big physical receiver, and they got Tyler Gabriel. They have so many weapons on that offense. But to get into game plans and stuff like that, I've talked about this a lot with the New England Patriots. If you can't stop the run, if you cannot stop LeGarrette Blount, if you can't stop that offensive line, you're going to have a long day. The quick passing game is already elite without that running game, but if you can't make them one-dimensional, you're not going to win that football game. If you cannot, this is for the Atlanta Falcons, I guess, Formula 20. Like, this is how I could see them winning the game. If you look in past Super Bowls against the Giants, the way that they won that game is remarkable, because they got pressure on Tom Brady with, guess what, their front four. Their front four got pressure on Brady. Same thing with the Denver Broncos. That front four got pressure without Brady, without bringing an extra guy to blitz. They got pressure with one-on-one matchups with like Von Miller, people like Von Miller, Malik Jackson, DeMarcus Ware, Derek Wolfe, those kind of guys. Can the Atlanta Falcons defense do that against the New England Patriots? That's a huge question mark. I don't know if they can. They have Vic Beasley, they have Dwight Freeney, both pass rushing specialists that can wreck a fourth quarter, but can you do it for an entire football game? I don't know if they can. We'll see if they can. I hope they can. I am a Dolphins fan. I don't have a particular. I'm not going to pick who's going to win this game, but I will. Obviously, we're going to go through both teams I could see winning this game. Now, for the New England Patriots, when we look at the New England Patriots, and like I said again, if you get the run game going, and by the way, they have, and a lot of people are like, oh, Brady doesn't, he doesn't have anybody hardly to throw to. I think that's a little bit overstated, and they're right about that. The only first ballot Hall of Famer that he ever played with in terms of a receiver was Randy Moss, but a lot of people, listen, Julian Edelman, if he's not putting together at least better than Wes Welker numbers, I think he's a better player than Wes Welker ever was. I think Julian Edelman is a very good wide receiver. I don't care who you have at quarterback. I think Julian Edelman gets open. Now, obviously, he may not make some of the plays that some of the throws that Brady makes to him. Some are difficult, I get that, and some are very hard to make. Now, all quarterbacks can make set throws, but my point is this offense is more talented than I think people give it credit for. They have people like Chris Hogan. I'm a Dolphins fan. I know everything. I know all about 7-Eleven. Open all day. Open all night. My bad. Open all night. Very talented wide receiver. Led the NFL in yards per catch. Average, I'm pretty sure. So they have talent on this offense. They obviously have Martellus Bennett. They have LeGarrette Blount, who is a little, I think, this is definitely a system player. I don't think, what he looked like with Pittsburgh and now what he looks like with New England, two totally different people. So that you could put, but he's still he excels in the system. I think if you, like I said for the Falcons, not to just harp on this, but if you take him away, if you take the running game away, it really affects them to make them one-dimensional. Not saying Brady can't win it when you make them one-dimensional, because he very much can win the game when you make him one-dimensional. That's for sure. So I'm not saying that's. I'm saying they have a better chance of winning. But when you look at the New England Patriots, like I said, they have James White, they have Deion Lewis in the running back, who are I think vastly more talented than LeGarrette Blount is. That is a problem for the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to be a problem. If I was the Atlanta Falcons defense, what I would be like, this is what we have to do. Like I said, you have to stop that run game. But again, not a lot of people put a lot of stock in how it's a little bit underrated. It's an underratedly talented offense for the New England Patriots. I feel like Brady does have talent around him. So they're going to score points. Both teams are going to score a ton of points. Now, if you're New England, obviously you have to, like I said, you have to stop Julio Jones. And like I said before, this man has been, we've seen, like, what they do is they double team your best player. They take him away, obviously, like that. We saw that with Antonio Brown. Julio Jones is, like I said, he's a different guy, man. I don't think, like I said, I don't think we've ever seen. I think the only player that is like Julio is Calvin Johnson. I've never seen, even like Randy had probably the greatest speed we've ever seen at receiver, the best deep threat I think we've ever seen. Julio and Calvin are built just like the same. They're freaks. We've never seen anything like them before. You can triple team him, quadruple team him, put the whole team on them. They're still gonna get open. So I don't think you can take Julio away. So that is in Atlanta's favor. So this game I think is going to come down to scoring, and there's gonna be a lot of it. There's gonna be a lot of scoring in this game, but whose defense comes with the biggest plays at the end of the game? I think that's what's going to happen. Now, the other scenario to this is if this is a blowout, it's going to be a Patriots win. The Falcons are not going to blow out the Patriots. The Patriots, and if they did, that would be the most surprising thing of all time. Like, seriously, that would surprise everybody. But that's not going to happen. The Falcons are not going to blow out the Patriots. But if the Patriots blow out the Falcons, the only reason that is going to be a thing is if the Falcons, if Matt Ryan turns the ball over. If Matt Ryan has a bad game in the biggest stage in the NFL, that is, I could totally see New England just blowing them out. So you cannot, if you're Matt Ryan, this is not the time to turn the ball over. So obviously, it's kind of a cliche, but it's serious. That's the only way I see New England manhandling Atlanta is if they turn the ball over. I don't think Atlanta's going to have any kind of problem moving the ball. Unless, like I said, unless mental errors occur. Now, like I've said before, Bill Belichick is a master at scheming. He's a scheme. I mean, he is probably the best. He's definitely the best of all time when it comes to adjustments. So this is such a good game, man. I'm so excited for it for a lot of different. I mean, this is an interesting matchup for a lot of reasons. I can't wait to watch it. What I can tell you guys is, from what I expect from this game, is I expect a high-scoring Super Bowl. I would expect it to go into the 30s. I think it'll go into the 30s or late 20s. And I think it's going to come down to the final drive. Hopefully that's, I don't know who I want to, I don't know. Obviously I trust Brady more than I trust Matt Ryan in terms of a final drive. But, yeah, I think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last and which defense can stand up, man up, and make that play. And hopefully it ends up like that. Hopefully Matt Ryan doesn't have a bad game. Hopefully they don't turn the ball over. Another thing to bring up is both special team units for both teams suck, and they have sucked in a lot of different, obviously against Devin Hester. The an old Devin Hester, out of his prime Devin Hester, struggled to stop him. The New England Patriots fumbled on a lot of kickoffs this past season, and against Houston they did. So that is a problem. I would look out to be that. I would look for that to be a huge factor in this game. Now, Steven Kostowski, however you say his name, he has missed field goals in big games. He missed extra point against Denver in last year's AFC Championship game. Look for that to be a factor in this game. So yeah, that is going to be it, guys. I am Skaggs83, and I will see you guys in the next one.